Good day. It's Friday. It's a drizzly day here in Nova Scotia. And personally, I like the drizzly days. They're kind of fun. So I actually, being a melancholy, I guess, I kind of like to step out into the cold rain. But that's me. Where you're at, maybe you're not liking it as much because you like the sun. I also like the sun. It's good too. That's my situation. It's a little later in the day, but we're going to do our devotional now, and then um, we'll see what God has to say to us. So we're in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 16 today. I also just want to take a moment and just say thank you to those that have let me know over the last number of weeks that you're getting something out of these videos. I really appreciate that because it just helps me. When you're speaking to a camera, you're not sure how it's coming out to the world. So really appreciate you just letting me know. I got a very nice card from someone today, and just you know who you are, and just thank you for it. Very nice card. So anyway, God bless you. Let's take a look at Proverbs chapter 3, verse 16. Um, and once again, these verses of Proverbs that we're looking at in these last few days are all an answer, so to speak, or an extension to verse 13. And verse 13 says, "How blessed is the man who finds wisdom and the man who gains understanding." And so it's saying this statement, how blessed is the man who finds wisdom, right? So how blessed, it's like it's saying this. It's saying, the life of someone who finds wisdom and understanding is better than the life of someone who doesn't. It's a simple idea, but it expresses it, how blessed, how much better it is. And so the verses that follow that are all kind of extending that idea in this area, in the area of wealth, in the area of desires, in the area of what we're going to read today, and so on. How much better that life is for that person when they find wisdom. And by finding wisdom, we're talking about God's wisdom. Not as if God's wisdom is one option out of many. It's just that God's wisdom is the wisdom. The wisdom of men lacks a lot. So when Proverbs talks about wisdom, it's talking about God's wisdom. So here we are, verse 16, and it says this: "Long life is in her right hand, and wisdom's right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor." So how blessed is the man who finds wisdom, because in her right hand is long life, and in her left hand are riches and honor. So you can imagine the two hands. Your hands are full of long life, riches and honor. So that's a pretty good thing. So the idea, and it kind of sound a little Star Trekky here, but live long and prosper kind of things. Like the person who finds wisdom will live long and prosper. Now, I think it's worth saying again here. I've said it in previous videos, but you never know. Sometimes people just happen to land on one video. So just so it's said, when Proverbs talks about an outcome from something, like the outcome of wisdom is long life and prosperity, for instance, it is not saying with absoluteness that as if nothing else ever happened in life. This, like, it's the idea of saying a seatbelt save lives, right? Well, yes, but you still could have a heart attack in your car. Well, I was wearing my seatbelt. Well, so to take the statements of Proverbs as though they were like these absolute causative statements in that way, or like exercise will extend your life, and it will in general, but you still could die in a car accident. So it's not that. It's not to be taken that way. But all things considered, how blessed is the man who finds wisdom, because he will have longer life and will have more prosperity. Like, he will do well, because that's what wisdom does in a person's life, notwithstanding an extraordinary circumstance, of course. That's the idea behind it. So, the idea, I guess, here is when it comes to life, do you sacrifice? So many people do sacrifice their life and the value they could have in life and honor that they could have in life, because they reject God's wisdom and they decide to pursue something different. So what they end up sacrificing is good, lengthy, good, prosperous, and honorable life in order to pursue a non-wise course. And people do this all the time. And that's kind of what this is saying. It's better to have wisdom, because in her hands is these things. And so don't reject wisdom. So let's go through our 4 questions. Question number 1 today: why would anyone sacrifice long life and prosperity? Why would anybody ever do that? That doesn't seem like even something somebody would do. But yet people do it all the time. And I'm sure in your life you have known people who've done it. And in fact, I'm pretty sure in your life you've done it. I know I have. There's times I've made decisions that sacrifice yeah, better life and honor and prosperity because of some immediate desire I wanted to satisfy in some way or something. I mean, this is what people do all the time. In order to get the immediate satisfaction to something they desire, they will make a decision that costs them some better, long-lasting future state. Addicts do this all the time. I mean, it's a very common thing among people who are addicted to alcohol or to drugs or to any number of other things. They in order to get their next fix, because it gives them an immediate satisfaction, they sacrifice their future. They sacrifice their relationships. They sacrifice their jobs. They sacrifice all sorts of things in order to get that fix. And so the desire for the immediate gratification will cause people, if they submit to that desire, it will often cause them to sacrifice what is the actual wise course of life, the good course of life. And so they lose. They have shorter lives. They have less prosperity and less honor in their lives. So it's question number 2. Is it just addicts that do this? Is this is just a tendency for an addict? Because a lot of what we talk about in Proverbs, we can see an extreme example in an addict, someone who's addicted to something. But it's not just addicts, so we got to be careful not to just do that and say, well, I'm not addicted to anything, so this doesn't apply to me. No, it's all of us. We often will make decisions, people who aren't addicted to things, but you'll still make decisions to reject God's wisdom because of some other thing that you have decided you want that is in opposition to the wisdom of God. And so because you want this thing and God's wisdom saying no to it, you'll reject God's wisdom to take it. And what you're actually sacrificing is the long life, prosperity, and honor of what wisdom brings. It doesn't feel like it in the moment because you really want the thing. There's all sorts of things. It could be some sort of sexual relationship you want to have. And so God says there's a certain set of rules around how sex should be. This is the wise set of rules. And no, I don't want that because I want this other, or some other life habit you have, some way of living that you want. It may not be a relationship like that, but it could be a way of doing business. And you've decided this is the way I want to do business. And wisdom says, no, that's underhanded. It's wrong. It's swindling, and don't do it. But you're like, no, I'm not going to listen to God's wisdom because I want to do this. It's an easier way to make money, or whatever the case is. There's so many different areas of life that this can happen, and we reject God's wisdom because we think in our own wisdom that we'll be able to attain a better, longer, more prosperous and honorable life going our way. And so we reject God's, and it really doesn't work out. It actually, you lose those things. Your life isn't more blessed because you rejected God's wisdom. Your life is more blessed when you accept God's wisdom. And this counts, by the way, not just for individuals. This counts for entire societies, an entire country, nation, culture group, whatever, that decides to reject the wisdom and morality of God will find that it is sacrificing its longevity, and it's sacrificing its true prosperity, and it's definitely sacrificing its honor. So it's a real problem. Question 3. What is the significance of the hands? Now, you might have noticed in this, it's using this imagery of the right and the left hand, right? And you'll encounter this a lot in ancient writings and certainly in the Bible. In wisdom's right hand, this is my right hand, I don't know. Anyway, in wisdom's right hand is long life, and in her left hand is prosperity and honor. And the idea of the hands, in the ancient world, right hand was always kind of a symbol for the strength and action and effectiveness of somebody. So the person's ability to apply their own ability and worth and strength to the world was represented in the right hand. It was the place of highest honor. If you sat on the right hand of a king or a general or something, then it was a symbol that this is my right hand man, right? This is my main guy. This is it. This is the big wig next to me. And so this symbol is there. So in wisdom's right hand is long life. So there's the main impact and the main effect of wisdom on our lives is that it prolongs our life, makes our life, gives us more abundant life, as Jesus put it, a more abundant life, not just length, as this Proverbs is saying, but even the quality of life, which is kind of what the left hand is talking about. Prosperity and honor is in their left hand. And it's like what follows, right? So long life follows, and it's an abundant life. So life and more abundant life, as Jesus said in the New Testament, I have come that you would have life and more abundant life, right hand, left hand. And whenever you see the combination there of right and left hand put together in the scriptures, then there's kind of this idea of this is kind of what it's all about. It's sort of a statement of it's all about, right? On my right hand is this, my left hand is this, both of my hands. This is my action. This is my kingdom. And in a sense, it's like this verse is saying, when we accept God's wisdom and find the understanding that God has in what's right and prudent and moral, then it results. It's all about this idea of it results in a better, longer, more qualitative, prosperous, honorable life. We don't just follow God's wisdom, and this is I think important, because a lot of people in our world today kind of think of it this way. They think following God's wisdom is just a choice. It's like a preference that you might pick because you want to be right, or you want to look good in God's eyes or something, as if it's some arbitrary thing. But actually, what God has told us in the scriptures is His wisdom isn't like a secret handshake of heaven or something. His wisdom it actually is the best way to have a longer, more prosperous and honorable life. It's really the right way. And man's wisdom doesn't match God's wisdom, and it's not even a rival for it. It's the wrong way. We need to have God's wisdom first and thoroughly, and that's where this long life and prosperity come from. All right. So then I think question 4 is a good follow-on to that, which is I've mentioned life and prosperity a lot here, but what about the honor part of that? So what's the significance of the honor at the last of this verse? And I think this is kind of does bring us back to this idea of we also follow God's wisdom, not just for long life, not just for prosperity, but definitely those things. Long life is the right hand. But we also do it because of the honor, because of what that means, dignity, and being able to be, I'm going to use the word proud, but I don't mean proud in the negative sense, but being able to be confident that you have done right is a real benefit. Honor is given to people. If you think about this, honor is given to people who live by a consistent code, a good code, not just an evil code, but a good code. We give honor to people who are like this. You see someone who is consistently, they haven't been a hypocrite. They consistently live by what they thought was right. Don't we honor people like that? Don't we look at that and go, yeah, that person's someone to be admired, right? Someone to respect. And in the same way, we might give honor to somebody who will sacrifice their personal gain for a greater good. We might look at someone like that, go, wow, that's like a hero on a battlefield who sacrifices his life to save his whole platoon or something. And we look at that and we give honor to that person because, wow, what a noble thing, what a dignified person. The person would lay down their own interests for the good of a greater good of others or whatever. And we give honor to a person like that, right? So who lives consistently by a code, who is willing to sacrifice for a greater good, or who is willing to submit themselves to a good authority. We respect that. When we see someone who's willing to restrain one's own self-interest and submit themselves, then that person, we can look at that and go, wow, that's a admirable person, a notable person. And we give honor to people like that, and we should give honor to people like that. And that's kind of what this is talking about, right? When we follow God's moral code, God's pragmatic code of wisdom, then we're people who live by a consistent code, who are willing to sacrifice for the greater good and submit ourselves to the authority of God. How honorable is that? That's really honorable. And so that's what comes with following God's wisdom. People will tend to look at you and go, wow, I respect that person. I mean, even if they don't agree with you, I got to respect that person. Our world does it differently, by the way. The fool instead thinks he should have honor. Why? Because he was born, because of who he is, right? Not by what code of honor he follows, but I should be honored because of who I am. That's a birthright for me, right? Or by force, and I'll bully you into giving me honor and respect. Call me a hero because I think you should, rather than I've actually submit it to a greater code or sacrifice my own personal interest for that which is good and so on. I mean, it's all screwed up in the world today. But how blessed is the person who finds wisdom and understanding, right? So for today, do you sacrifice your life and your prosperity and your honor in order to pursue your own wisdom? Or are you willing to put all those things in God's hand and trust his wisdom to bring those things into your life? It's a good question. God, help us do it. Help us to honor you and your wisdom, and thus honor us, and give us life and give us prosperity. I pray in Jesus' name. God bless. So I will hopefully be back next week. I'm not sure which day at the moment, but once again I'm trying to fit in a few vacation days over Christmas, and so I'm not sure which days, but possibly Tuesday or Wednesday of next week I'll be back with another devotional. So until then, God bless. Check out our Sunday streams, our Sunday videos. Hopefully they be useful to you as well. Take care. We'll see you next time.